allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can anyone hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Okay, we're live.
Okay.
Okay, Nina, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilman Alvarez,
Here.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Here.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Here.
Councilperson Clem,
Here.
Councilperson Williams,
Here.
Councilperson Goley. He was there. Oh, he's spinning. I think he's having some trouble right now. Colin is having some trouble too.
Here's Brian.
Councilperson Zilli,
I'm here.
Councilperson Goley.
Here.
Okay, we have new business. We have the introduction of ordinances. We have the public hearing on ordinance 2012, general obligation bond, additional appropriations. Scott.
Dan, would you take that, please?
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 20-12, an ordinance of the City of Portage appropriating the proceeds of its general obligation bonds. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, the issuer, has determined to issue bonds to provide for the costs of refunding certain outstanding obligations, including the redemption of existing leases and funding the cost or reimbursement of certain capital expenditures of the city, collectively known as projects, and the incidental expenses in connection therewith on account of the issuance of its taxable general obligation bonds of 2020, therefore known as bonds. And whereas a notice of a public hearing on the appropriation of the proceeds of the bonds in an amount not to exceed $5,350,000 to be issued for the purpose of procuring funds to be applied on the costs of the projects and the incidental expenses to be incurred in connection therewith and with the issuance and sale of the bonds was properly published, with proof of publication was presented to the Common Council and placed in the city's records. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage that, Section 1, an appropriation in an amount not to exceed $5,350,000 is hereby made to be applied on the cost of the projects and the incidental expenses incurred in connection therewith, and on account of the issuance of the bonds therefore, and that the funds to meet said appropriation be provided out of the proceeds of the bonds in an amount not to exceed $5,350,000 heretofore authorized, that said appropriation be in addition to all other appropriations provided for in the existing budget and tax levy for the current year. Section 2. The clerk treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to report and certify the additional appropriation to the Department of Local Government Finance. Section 3. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval by the mayor. Let the record show that this ordinance has been read in its entirety.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
This is a public hearing. We need to open the public hearing to comments. Right, Dan?
That's correct,
Dan?
Mayor. I would open the floor to
Right.
comments.
I'm opening the public hearing to comments. So anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bond, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bond, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bond, You can type in your minutes. There's various ways to communicate back to us, and those will be read into the record. Colin, are we receiving any comments?
Nothing has been in favor yet.
Okay. Hearing none, is there anyone to speak against the bond? Anyone to speak against the bond? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the bond?
Mayor, there is a comment from Andrew Barlog on Facebook that this is a ridiculous amount on the overruns and they need to be held accountable. There are questions, to be clear, that in a public hearing, questions won't be answered, but council members can ask questions after the public hearing is closed. Right, Dan?
That's correct. So if we have questions, Colin, you might want to read them. And then when you close the public hearing, you guys can field those questions if you desire.
Okay, the questions so far have been, what projects will the bond be put towards?
Those will be easy to address after you're done with the public hearing.
Mayor, no other comments will come in.
No other comments? Okay, I would like to close the public hearing. So now,
Mayor,
Dan, pardon?
I was going to say, if we could answer the question of what the funds will go towards, I think, Nina, you're probably the best position to answer that.
Sure. As much as I'd like to say that it's for, a bunch of exciting projects, it's not. It is for, basically it's refunding capital expenses that were purchased with regular operating funds out of the operating budget from 2017 to date. The purchases that could have been purchased by issuing a bond or, and creating its own debt service levy. It's basically to beef up our operating balances. We started off the year with the lowest cash balances that I can find to date. For example, our motor vehicle highway fund had 64 cents. Clearly, we can't get very far with that much. So we had to wait till we received proceeds from the Indiana Bond Bank for a tax anticipation warrant in order to pay bills. So this is just to strengthen our cash balance, our operating balances, basically. It will also, the elevator, it also will help, it will pay for an elevator to be installed in City Hall in the existing shaft, I guess I should say, to make our ADA compliant.
And Nina, to date, what was the amount in bills we received that were incurred in 2019, 2018, 2017 that were received in 2020?
It's close to $500,000. I can tell you the exact amount.
And then how many, just for clarification, how much was overspent in 2019, 2018, 2017 without an appropriation from the city council? A lot, right?
Yes. It would take me a minute to pull all those figures, but there was a lot. Yeah. I'm trying to open up my file.
No problem.
I believe, Colin, there was another question that popped up. Did you see that? I think Mr. Carnahan.
Yes, in the chat. Will the funds go towards bills left by the previous administration? I think Nina just answered that and is getting the answer from the question I asked. And then a second question, we have around $5 million in debt carried over from 2019, correct? That is the question Nina is giving the answer to now. A second question that just came in, where will the funds come from to repay the loan? That's a good question. Nina?
It will have its own percentage. It will have its own levy, just like every other fund. It'll be in the debt service levy.
What does that mean practically?
It means, okay, if you think about a fund as each as a bank account that receives direct deposits, I guess it will be its own fund receiving direct deposit from property taxes. It won't be, the debt won't be paid.
Property taxes.
Correct. And the number of, geez, I'm not sure what's going on with this. Not responding clearly.
Mayor, oh, go ahead.
Colin, I'm sorry, the number that we've received so this year, hopefully that's the last of it, $496,796.62.
And then about how much was the overspent appropriations from the council in previous years? I think it was around 3.8 million.
That sounds about right. So how it's been handled in the past is there's been different temporary fund loans in between other funds. So it's really hard to chase that dollar amount.
Colin, I think Mr. Carnahan has a question.
Yes. How much of this has been IT related? I don't think any of the bills
I don't think so.
that you shared had been IT related.
No.
One other question, Mayor, that I've seen come through. What did we use CARES Act money on? I know we talked about this at the last meeting quite a bit. Nina, I know you've been working hard.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
What have we used our CARES Act money on that has come through?
So far, we've kind of we haven't paid anything yet, and we don't have it. We have to pay for it first in order to get reimbursed. To date, it's only around 12,000 of actual spent money. We're just now getting invoices in. That will be monies that will be spent, and then we'll get reimbursed within a week or two.
How much have you applied for that's been pre-approved by?
Like a pre-approved, $367,411.
And I know that was on kiosks at City Hall.
Correct. And then we did recently add in hardware so we can improve our infrastructure and prevent, hopefully prevent cybersecurity issues. Yeah, updating or upgrading or installing firewalls and switches, etc.
Okay.
We also bought some laptops because our current PCs are operating on Windows 2007. So we did get some laptops that we took out of the CARES money, right, Nina?
Yeah, that was included in the 12,000.
Okay.
Another question on the bond, specifically related to the bond. How long of a bond is it to pay? Like, how long will we have to pay back? What's the interest on this bond?
It's 5 years. We don't have any interest rates yet because we haven't went out to bid to the different banks yet.
Another question, you mentioned capital projects. This is not related to the old school on Central Avenue. Correct. I think I can answer that one. This isn't funding capital projects with the exception of the elevator. And that was another question, was the price of that elevator project. I believe the bond document that we were looking at is 500,000, right?
Yes.
Yeah, not to exceed.
Not to exceed 500,000. I think, let's see. Question about property taxes and how this affects property taxes. Are they going up? Nina, I don't know the specifics on how this works.
No, I mean, not, it could if you are not already within the tax caps. So I don't have that information as far as who would be affected, how many people. If you are within the 1%, or that it may bump you up. It's very, very minimal. It is 7 cents per $100 of assessed valuation.
But realistically, most people are already at the 1% constitutional tax cap. It would only affect those that aren't. Dan, from a county level, do you know? I don't think it's very many, if it.
Portage has a lot of houses that have pushed up, and we're talking about a 1, 2, and 3, so residential,
Right.
rental, and business. So we have a very high percentage that are up against the caps. So what this could ultimately do is it could create a tax cap credit, which the city, all the cities and towns are getting hit by that. We got hit by a couple $1 million of it because of the tax cap. So it could have some impact on the tax cap credit, but that's something we'll have, all the cities have to deal with anyway. But by and large, we have a very low percentage of people that are not at the cap in the city.
Okay, 2 questions, and I think we might have to wrap this up. Will it be financed by a local bank?
It would be financed by whoever offers the lowest interest rate. It goes out to bid just like other projects.
And then the comment question, you're beefing up money for you guys with no projects, but $1 million worth. Why take out such a large bond and not just what you need? I think there's just a discrepancy in like how this has been explained. Maybe Nina,
Right.
Can you go through specifically the 5.3 million
3.5.
or 3.5? Sorry, 3.5.
So it's not to exceed that amount. That's just a threshold before you have to do the remonstrance period or referendum or whatever. So yeah, we already had a $2.2 million shortfall in our budget this year because it was underfunded. It was unfunded. So that it just helps us. It brings us to a balance. So it's the 2.2, and then we have all the elevator, the unpaid bills. So that's where we're at.
I have a question regarding the elevator. Can you explain how long that's been out of service?
It operates, Gina, but it's nothing more than like a cargo carrier. I mean, but it's really.
It's a wheelchair lift.
Yeah,
and it takes 5 minutes to get one floor and.
At least 5 minutes, maybe more.
That sounds.
And it broke down. I think it broke down in late 2015, and then was fixed. Correct? Because I remember that's why the council isn't in the council. There is no council chambers.
Right.
There's no elevator.
Right. I don't know exactly what year it was. I know that nobody wants to use it or will use it.
One final question that came in. It's basically what is being done differently to live within the budget. And I think from a council perspective, the council sets the budget in consultation with the mayor and the clerk treasurer. Can you all speak to what happens from there?
You can't spend more than what's appropriated unless you do an additional appropriation or the council approves, transferring different appropriations, which has been a chronic past practice. We just have to, rather than doing that, we just need to, continue to spend more time correcting the budget and putting things in the right buckets.
And I think one thing, speaking from the mayor's office, we have cut our staff. We have myself and Norma as staff people, and I have a half staff person that I share with the park to help with events. I don't use the mayor's car. I don't take insurance. Norma doesn't take insurance. So we are cutting every little corner that we can. And that's how we're going to get to where we need to go. And every department head is doing the same thing. We're scrutinizing these budgets. And Deb can tell you, we sit for hours and look at things that we don't necessarily need, and we cut them out of the budget. We are not spending money that we do not have.
Right. And Nina has worked very hard putting things where they belong, where they were not before,
Yes.
which will free up monies in different places.
And I think it's important to just point out the Board of Works process and what's changed there. Sue, can you talk a little bit about, and Scott, as Board of Works members, how that has changed from previous boards of work?
Well, the Board of Works is now a group of people who scrutinize every line item in those claim sheets. And if you watch the Board of Works online, you can clearly see that there are questions. There are items that have been removed from the claim sheet because we wanted further investigation. In investigating those, we found that some of those were redundancies, and we worked with the clerk treasurer and got those corrected. So this is not a Board of Works who just rubber stamps everything I say. Every one of the members of the Board of Works is very critical of that claim sheet and ask a lot of questions. And that's what the Board of Works job really is.
And when we look at contracts, whether it's a renewal of a contract or a new contract, we scrutinize it very heavily, ask the questions that need to be asked. It's not something that we immediately approve. So we're taking the big picture and the budget into consideration when we make those decisions at the Board of Works.
Another thing about the Board of Works is that we now have the council president sitting on the Board of Works, which is something I don't recall ever happening, but the council is the fiduciary body of the city. So he is sitting there on behalf of all the other council members. We actually have a finance person on the Board of Works now. So I think that we have tried to get people on there that are budget minded, and when they look at these claims, they question them and ask why we are doing certain things. And I think this is how we're clearing up a lot of unnecessary expenses.
And just speaking from a single council person perspective, I had noticed with the Board of Works, and the Board of Works is the body that approves to pay bills. The city council does not. We approve a budget. The Board of Works is expected to live within the budget that we approve or ask us for additional appropriations or fund transfers. And the Board of Works would just approve the claims without any appropriation to pay the claims, which is when we started seeing the city getting into the issue where we just didn't have the money to pay the bills because an appropriation didn't exist. So now we're in a position where we've had our funds depleted at the end of the year. The general fund had $11,000, right, Nina? We could barely make payroll in January, let alone pay the rest of our bills in January until our tax anticipation warrant loan came through. So speaking from a council perspective, it is good to know that the Board of Works, which is mandated by the state government to approve these claims, is doing their job. Mayor, that was it on the questions related to the bonds.
Okay.
From the public.
I'd like to give thanks or kudos to Clerk Treasurer Rivas for bringing to the public's attention the state of the budget that we inherited. $11,000 in the general fund is less than some households, and we're a municipality. So, you know, when you look at it on that scale, it's pretty serious. And so it's also going to be a multi-budget process. And so it's not something that, okay, now we are in the clear. Now we continue the work that we have already started and move forward from here. And so I just want to assure everyone that, as you know, as a member of the budget committee, we are working hard. So thank you.
Very good.
I would suggest, Madam Chairman, that you officially close the public hearing now.
Okay, I do not have my gavel, but I am officially closing the public hearing. Do we need to approve this now, Scott?
Yes, we have a
We need a
motion.
motion.
We have a motion. There's been a motion and a second.
Yeah.
So Nina, would you please call the roll?
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli,
Yes.
So we have a resolution 2023 on additional appropriations. Scott?
Brian, would you take that, please?
Yeah. Additional appropriations, resolution 20-23, a resolution transferring funds within the cumulative capital improvement fund and the general fund. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money that was originally appropriated in the annual budget. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, for the expenses of said municipal corporation, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of this several funds and fund herein named for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing same. So CCI fund appropriation coming from general unappropriated, $96,000. Going to planning salaries, $78,000, $785.13. Planning overtime, $7,784.63. Planning perf, $8,823.94. Planning social security, $3,530.59. Planning Medicare, $825.70. Planning consulting, $10,000. Planning dues, subs miscellaneous, $30,000. Let the record reflect that this has been read in its entirety.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion? If not, Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli,
Yes.
We have the first reading of ordinance 2414, salary ordinance.
Colin, would you take that, please?
Yes. Ordinance 20-14, an ordinance establishing the salaries of, it actually says elected officials. I think this should be appointed officials of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana. Oh, Nina.
Do you
what were
have,
saying?
so when I first saved the PDF, I did 2 worksheets in Excel. So make sure you have the updated one because I did the elected officials and the employees.
I see that. Okay.
I just created it in one
Yeah.
document.
I see that. Okay. An ordinance establishing the salaries of elected officials of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana for the year 2021, be it and hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana as follows. Ordinance 2018- is hereby repealed in its entirety. Section 2, that from the first pay date in January of 2021 through the last pay date in December of 2021, the pay schedule for elected officials of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana be fixed as follows. Mayor, $83,466.23. Biweekly maximum of $32.10.23. Clerk treasurer, $77,404.56. A biweekly maximum of $2,977.10. And a common council member, $17,077.50 for a biweekly maximum of $656.82. Additionally, this is an ordinance establishing the amount of salaries and compensations to be paid to all appointed employees and officers of the city of Portage, Porter County, the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, for the year 2021, be it, and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana as follows. Let the record reflect this has been read in its entirety.
Motion to suspend?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst, Councilperson Geishurst,
I think
Yeah,
she's
no.
not.
sorry.
Oh.
I apologize.
Councilperson Williams,
Williams? Who was that next, please?
yep, Councilperson Williams,
Yes?
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second.
Just to make it clear to those watching, Nina, is this a raise for the mayor, clerk treasurer, or city council?
No, it is not.
No.
And just in the salary ordinance for employees, I assume we're going to come back to this with union negotiations to update for whatever is negotiated in new contracts, right?
Correct. So what we did, and we spent quite a bit of time on it, going back and forth on some things. What we decided to do is do a 2% across the board, with the exception of the fire department, because they have a contract that was negotiated last year. And we did bring up, though, the rookie position, 5,000 with the police department. And then we also, there were two positions in the building department that were substantially, that needed someone to look at it, and brought those up to something that is more, I guess eliminate such a wage gap between certain offices.
And just to be clear, Colin, to that point, I am in the middle of negotiations with Storm and Sanitary. We will have the police and the street department and perhaps the administrative clerks that we'll be dealing with soon, because those contracts will expire at the end of this year. So we can always come back and amend these in any fashion based upon the outcome of the negotiations.
And I will say the increase for a rookie police officer is much needed to help us get some quality candidates. I know we were pretty low in the salary range from other cities, so do appreciate seeing that this year.
So we have a motion. We voted on the suspension. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, we have a motion to adopt, I think, by Colin, right?
We have a,
Yeah, I believe I seconded or I made the motion. Someone.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, someone seconded it. We need to call the roll, Nina.
Councilperson Alvarez, Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem, Councilperson Clem,
He may have had to go away. Yeah, he had to go. He had an issue at the mill, so.
okay. Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
We have the second reading on ordinance 2013, the 2021 budget.
Deb, would you take that, please?
Sure.
Someone's giving us some back feed. Would you check your mic, please?
Yeah, Scott, I think it might be you.
Well, of course it is.
I can mute you, Scott.
Are we good?
Well, let me mute this puppy.
You got it? Be it ordained and resolved by the City of Portage Common Council that for the expenses of Portage Civil City for the year ending December 31st, 2021, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of the several funds herein named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year, unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided for by law. In addition, for the purposes of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of Portage Civil City, the property tax levies and property tax rates are herein specified are included herein. Budget Form 4-B for all funds must be completed and submitted in the manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. The ordinance resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval by the City of Portage Common Council. So I'll read each one of these funds. The general fund, adopted budget $20,035,821. The adopted tax levy, $17 million. The debt service, $405,425. Adopted tax levy, $300,000. Bond number 2, $1,100,000. Adopted tax levy, $1,205,000. Fire pension, adopted budget, $634,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Police pension, $634,000. Tax levy, 0. Insurance, $266,000. Adopted tax levy, $350,000. Local road and street, $400,000. Tax levy, 0. Motor vehicle highway, $5,047,646. Tax levy, $2 million. Major moves toll road counties, 0 for both. Park and recreation, $1,032,854. Tax levy, $1 million. Park non-reverting capital, $250,000. Tax levy, 0. Building demolition, $75,000. Tax levy, 0. Cumulative capital, the cigarette tax, that's 0 all the way around. Cumulative capital development, $466,263. Tax levy, $600,000. Economic development income tax credit, $2,933,000. Levy, 0. Sanitation, $2,849,266. Levy, 0. Total adopted budget, $36,129,275. The tax levy at $22,455,000. Then you have the ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates. The home ruled funds not reviewed by the DLGF. Local law enforcement continuing education, adopted budget of $25,000. Park non-reverting operating, $456,700. Sidewalk waiver, 0. Wheel excise tax, $100,000. Port authority, $22,000. Marina operating, $562,439. Wheel tax, $800,000. Community crossings grant match, $860,000, for a total of $2,626,139. Let it reflect it's read in its entirety.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Quick question, Tina. This is one I saw on Facebook. Can you explain the increase in the clerk treasurer's perf fund and why that happened in this budget year? You're on mute, Nina. I had muted you. Sorry.
It's okay. So it's actually, they're not looking at the right line item, or let me see. That is actually the health insurance. I'm sorry. It's not perf, it's the health insurance. And it's we get reimbursed half of the employees by the utilities department. Before, the city's health insurance premiums were paid through the EMB fund, through cable TV, through Riverboat, through Edit. So we eliminated the EMB fund, and that percentage of the levy will be shifted to the general fund. Also, the revenues that were collected for Riverboat and cable TV will be absorbed through the general fund too. That way we have a clear understanding of what it costs to operate each department and those employees.
Can you just, another question, how has that been affecting us in the past? I know there was a good example, I think, from sanitation and streets, right, where things just weren't being housed in the right place, and one appeared to have a deficit and one a surplus when in fact it wasn't the case.
Correct. So by going through everything with a fine tooth comb, we identified that, yes, some street department employees were being paid out of sanitation or vice versa, or, you know, they were in the right department with wages, but their insurance was being paid by MVH or sanitation or vice versa. So it allowed us to get some things cleaned up internally.
Thank you.
And Colin, I just want to add one thing that Nina's done, that she's broken things out a little bit better. For instance, the fire department, we have 3 fire stations. So each station has its own budget now. It's not all together in one pot. So it identifies each station and their expenses. And it's great for those stations to be identifying their needs in their budget. And
I
their
think it should,
expenses.
yeah, I think it should also be noted that Nina has created the IT budget. So that, you know, pretty much everything that's covered is now in its own budget by itself, so that we can see that and I think keep a handle on that a little more.
Right. With us trying to do a lot of the vendor consolidation, getting more unified contracts throughout the city instead of every department being in their own silo. There's a cost savings to that. I don't think, I mean, I think it makes sense for internet bills, normal telephone bills, your copy machine contracts to come from a generalized IT type of operation budget. So the only type of IT that each department will pay for is any type of software or anything that's additional above and beyond that's specific to their department.
I just want to commend the budget committee, Nina, the mayor, our financial consultants, for getting this put together, getting us back in a good spot, making sure the budget is aligned with where things should actually be paid out of. So I do want to commend the budget committee and all of you involved in getting this to us on time, so we can get this passed before November 1st. I think this is probably the earliest we might be adopting a budget. Usually we are waiting till the very last minute. So
baby steps, but we're making progress.
Another thing is, it's nice when upstairs and downstairs works together, because we've all been in the same room huddled together. And I think it makes it so much easier to work on a budget when you're all sitting there in the same room, poring over the figures and getting that out on the table. And it just makes everything work better for the whole city. I think Mr. Carnahan had a question.
I think it was actually just more of a it's just a statement. There's no question.
Okay.
Nina, something to look at.
Okay. So I think we've got that. Do we want to move on to reception of remonstrances?
We've got to vote on the budget. We didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nina. I thought we already did that. Sorry.
Okay.
Too much conversation. Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geis-Hurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem. I didn't know if he was back. Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
So
we
Nina,
now
I'm sorry, Mayor. Nina, do we need to stop in City Hall and see you to sign this?
Yes, so I have 5 days to get the actual ordinance signed and uploaded to Gateway, so I will need, when you get some time to stop by.
Okay.
So we have remonstrances and petitions and memorials by the public. If any public would like to input anything at this time.
Mayor, just to clarify, this would be someone on the phone, if you had called into the meeting specifically. to speak to the council. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I think
Second.
Scott went to second, but he was muted.
I think he was trying, yeah.
We have did you second that, Scott? We have a motion and a second. Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes?
Councilperson Pitgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geis Hurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams, Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
See you guys later.